Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Perry. Thank you for attending this webinar on the introduction of a practice management webinar project that my teammates and I have been preparing for many months, and we're excited to roll it out and offer it to all dentists at no cost. This particular project is here today because of personal concerns that I have been having over recent years. It is a reality today that the dental marketplace has become more challenging for private practice dentists to operate in. The number of private practice dentists who own practices on a percentage basis is significantly less than it once was. And I am concerned that other players in the dental marketplace are taking too much control of our profession, and I believe that that's to the detriment of our patients and to our profession in general. I am seeking to empower dentists to own practices and to be as confident in running the business side of their practice as they are running the clinical side of their practice. I am a dentist myself. I've been a dentist for 40 years. I've been a practice management consultant for 20 of those 40 years. I have many experiences that I've brought from systems that I developed in my own practice, but I've also had the opportunity to work with hundreds of other dentists over those 20 years and developed a number of systems which I feel are very user-friendly for dentists. They're not designed for MBAs or CPAs. They are specifically for general dentists. There may be some specialists that are watching this program. Much of what I'm going to talk about applies to specialty practices as well. You may hear me specifically reference general practices, but certainly this program has many components that will help specialists as well. This management project is only possible because of a team of subject matter experts that have been brought together with a common desire to help our profession. Unfortunately, the training that's available for dentists on the business side is still fairly weak. Most of the most robust training is coming from practice management consultants who are selling their services on the open market. There are a number of large firms that many of you are already familiar with, but the fees for those services have gotten to be quite high and out of reach for many dentists, particularly our younger dentists. Younger dentists, of course, are dealing with long-term education debt that's far beyond what I experienced in my time. And the cost of procuring a practice and the management of relationships with dental benefit companies have created complexity and economic pressures that are also difficult, primarily for young dentists to deal with. So we are here today to make a contribution to our profession and to help the profession be controlled in large measure by members of our own profession. On the website itself, which is where you access this particular webinar, you had a chance to look at perhaps the overview videos on my homepage and then on the webinar page itself. The webinar has several subpages underneath it, which includes the presenters, the library of the webinars themselves, and some other information. Just to the right of the webinar tab is the resources tab. And there are 3 sections within that tab. One section includes the resources that are attached to the individual trainings. I'll talk about that in just a minute. The other two sections are for articles that are on broad topics. Those are things that I have written over time. And then more recently, I have been authoring a regular blog. We are sitting here at the time of the COVID-19 lockdown. So you may be watching this webinar at a much later time, but as I sit, it's April 29th, 2020, and the dental profession, other than providing emergency services for occasional patients, is largely not operating. And my feeling is that the profession is going to come into a very new marketplace when it reopens. You may be watching this introductory webinar well after it's opened, and you're going to be able to contrast the way it was at the beginning of this year as opposed to the way that it is now. So I contributed a number of blogs over time to help dentists adapt to the new marketplace, both in the immediate reopening of practices and then on an ongoing basis to help dentists adapt to this new marketplace. Now, the resource section that is associated with the trainings themselves, what those trainings that are within the webinar project, those are available for download, and those resources will be referenced in each training. If it's a lecture that I'm doing, all of those resources will be available in that area. There are going to be some resources that are referenced by other trainers that are proprietary to them. So there may be some where you will have to contact that trainer directly. All of the trainings will have their contact information embedded in the training, but you're also able to get their information from the presenters area, which is underneath the webinar tab. Each of those presenters has a bio, and within those bios are their contacts. I'm specifically putting an image on the screen of this particular resource. My advice is, as soon as you're done with this webinar, go ahead and download this one. It will give you a complete list of all of the trainings that are going to be available by the end of this year. To that point, we are in curriculum development right now. If you are viewing this webinar in somewhere around the middle of 2020, most of the courses on this list haven't been developed yet. They're in production. We are committed to getting them onto the website and available for viewing by the end of this year. In addition, through next year, we'll be adding additional trainings to this list. But for now, this allows you to see where you're going. I highly recommend that if you are planning to immerse yourself in the entire curriculum, that you look at the courses in order. And so the introductory courses will be developed first, and they should be available, I would say, by July of 2020, if not before. The core courses and the more advanced courses will come later. So my advice, go ahead at the end of the program, download this particular item, and just keep it as an organizational tool as you go forward with the process. Okay, so who are these people? First of all, we have Ali Aramshian. He is an attorney. He is what I call a dental lawyer, which is someone who is particularly knowledgeable about the issues that we dentists deal with. He, of course, helps with human resource issues, but also with contracts and leases. His law firm, Dental and Medical Counsel, was one that I collaborated with frequently when I was on staff at the California Dental Association. And I've also collaborated with Ali on the development of some training items for dentists, and he and I have even lectured together. He also has another business called HR for Health. It's a web-based human resources management system for dental practices. And it's a wonderful system for those dentists that are busy enough where they don't want to manage the HR component of their business themselves. And I will say it is very easy to miss something when you are one professional, you're a dentist, and you're trying to act like another professional, an attorney. There are a lot of landmines out there in labor law. So if for a fee, his company, HR for Health, will take over that management process for you. It's definitely something to consider. Next is Ashley Adams. I worked with Ashley at the California Dental Association. We had desks that were adjacent to each other. We were both strategic counselors for CDA. We were leaders of teams of subject matter experts who worked with CDA members, helping them with practice management issues and related issues. He is now the founder and owner of Adams Dental Consulting. He operates with individual dentists, helping them to create business plans that are appropriate to their vision and their situation. And then, of course, the important part is he helps dentists implement those plans. Jessica Edgerton was a member of my team when I was at the California Dental Association. She's a marketing specialist. She is particularly adept at web-based marketing, which is where the brunt of dental marketing is today. She was actually a member of my team, so we collaborated on many projects together. We lectured together and also worked together to help many individual dental practices. She is the marketing specialist for Adams Dental Consulting, and I have referred many clients to her over the years to help them develop a salient marketing plan for their vision and their demographic. Savannah Elliott is a government regulations expert, also on Ashley's team at Adams Dental Consulting. I met Savannah at the California Dental Association. She worked in the TDIC subsidiary, Dentist Insurance Company. Many of you have your liability insurance through TDIC. She has, I believe, more than 10 years in the business, and she knows government regulatory issues very well, including the ones you see listed, OSHA, HIPAA, and the Dental Practice Act. WEO Media is a dental marketing firm that I became associated with also when I was at the California Dental Association. Their CEO, Ian McNichol, was someone that I collaborated with at CDA. His firm is now endorsed by the California Dental Association. He has a number of different marketing experts on his team. His experts will be able to deliver a variety of trainings in specific areas of dental marketing, including the ones that you see on the screen. As I mentioned in my introduction, my own background is in dentistry. My father was a dentist. He was a pediatric dentist from the time I was born. And so I've been around dentistry my entire life. My mom was the office manager for my dad's practice, and I watched her operate at a time when computers didn't exist. I watched her at a time when dental benefits didn't exist. If you fast forward to my career as a practice owner, the marketplace that I operated in was dramatically different from the one that my parents operated in. And I would say that the marketing environment that exists today, the marketplace that exists today is as different from the one I started in as the difference between my practice and my parents' practice. So things have changed a lot. I've watched it occur over a long period of time, and having had the opportunity to work with several hundred dentists over the years, I have seen the strengths and weaknesses of practice management programs. And my feeling is that dentists need to have a better understanding of what they don't know in practice management just as much as they need to have an understanding of what they know. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. For organizational purposes, I made the decision to divide our training groups into these two categories. The PPO-based practice, which is any practice that has one or more dental benefit contracts with third parties. The big one, of course, is Delta Dental, but there are many others. There are PPO practices that are only contracted with Delta Dental, and then there are practices that are contracted with many multiples of PPOs. And the business systems that are associated with a PPO practice are often very different from those that are associated with an insurance independent practice, which is a practice that has no PPO contracts, in particular is not contracted with Delta Dental. There are some of the trainings that apply to both practice types, and there are others that are specific to that practice type. And we've organized our curriculum around those organizational ideas. Now, our course organization is in 3 groups. In terms of the numbers, the majority of the trainings are in the core group. The basic trainings are just to give dentists a high-level view of broad subjects. The advanced trainings are for those that have begun implementation of the basic and core material and are ready to enhance the systems and ideas that were learned in the other programs. With basic training, in large measure, it's to teach the dentist what they don't know. So we don't expect the dentist to walk away from these initial trainings with a sense of a lot of specific knowledge, but they will walk away with a sense of what they need to do and what they need to learn in order to play the game at an optimum level. There are 3 levels of core trainings. The first level has to do with business development. As you can see on the screen, I am providing all of those trainings myself. They branch from right brain activity, which is the creative part of the brain where you're making decisions in part on a feeling level, what you'd like to have, what you'd like to accomplish. If you could have things be any way, how would they be? All the way to specific business planning and the implementation of business systems. The reason that the last bullet, the PPO transitions, is on this list is PPO contracts with third parties are, of course, ubiquitous in the marketplace. The majority of practicing dentists are contracted with one or more third parties. And many of those dentists find themselves operating in a niche in the market that, at least on a feeling level, isn't right for them. And many of them have decided that it's also not making economic sense for them. And so a PPO transition is often necessary as an early step in a process of change. And so I made the decision to include those trainings in level 1 of the core trainings. The next level of core trainings are the business systems themselves. The 3 fundamental business systems in terms of patient management and communication our scheduling, financial policy, and case presentation. These are the foundation for all of the other business systems that support the providing of services and the production that's created from doing that. Dealing with dental benefits has become a science in and of itself, and the need to properly use coding and to attach the right information to claims has become fairly complex. And then, of course, managing a hygiene department, there are a whole set of clinical systems and practice management systems that are associated with that. The level 3 systems are all management intensive. Certainly the control of overhead, the typical general practice, even if it's well run, about 70% of the revenue goes to overhead. In specialty practices, it's usually less than that. The management of accounts, and then of course the procurement and management of employees. Those are critical issues that dentists typically have had little or no training in. We have Savannah providing the 4 government regulation presentations, and then WEO will be handling the level 3 core marketing presentations, and there'll be a variety of different presenters from WEO teaching on those subjects. As I said earlier, the advanced trainings are for those that have at least initiated implementation of the basic and core material. Dentists are going to move at different paces, and these trainings will be helpful for dentists moving at different paces. But these are definitely meant for the more experienced dental practice owner, one who at least has at a basic level the practice management systems in place that are needed, and then they can move it to the next level. So I thank you for your attention. I'm hoping that you had the patience to watch this introduction in its entirety. It has given you a much better overview of the program and curriculum. As you can hopefully tell, I'm very passionate about dentists owning dental practices and thriving and succeeding in the dental marketplace. I strongly believe that this curriculum will go a long way toward helping you do that, and in so doing, help our patients and help our profession. Thank you very much for your attention.